Joe Colburn.
Pledge allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Minutes for 7/18/2018. I think the only thing, I thought I abstained on the minutes since I wasn't here the one before. Might have mumbled that at the end, but
Okay, I think
any other additions or corrections? Is there a motion?
Joy.
I move to accept the minutes of July 18th, 2018.
There's a motion and a second to accept the minutes, and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Citizens input. No citizens input. Report from Chuck DeWitt.
Okay, I have a couple of things to start off with. The letter that was sent down to the downtown business and business owners. Did you hear? And what I did there was went on a walk through downtown with Suzanne just a few weeks ago, looking at the storefronts, trying to make a determination of where we have violations and what needs to be done. And I thought the best approach would be to send everyone a letter so that they're aware of what the violations might be, but also for those that have none, that are doing things right, to know that we're working on the others to get them done. So I covered 10 items there that are varying degrees of what we saw. Windows, curtains covering the front windows, windows boarded up, windows blocked by various items, bicycles stored in the window fronts, windows painted over, storefronts used for construction storage, storefronts used for storage not specifically related to the business, windows that have been haven't been washed in years, living quarters on the first floor, and various sanitation and health issues. Okay. What I've done is told them they've got 15 days. I want to see some progress being made within that 15 days, and at the end of 30 days, take another tour, and at that point, we will address only those who have problems that haven't been corrected. I think the second page just lists everywhere that who was sent to. If there's anybody on there that, somebody that we've missed, we'd be glad to send that out. I took a little editorial liberty there when I said that each storefront is a light into the community. That's going to be my approach and attack on it, and I really think that it is. So anyway, do you have any questions about that specifically? Okay, so that will be ongoing, 15 days and 30 days. We'll go with that.
I'd like to leave it positive.
Thank you.
To the community.
Thank you. Next one probably won't be quite as positive. Yes, sir.
And I'm thinking it's going to be more specific, targeted to specific owners of businesses.
Yes,
that
exactly.
A, B, and C is what you need to take care of.
Right.
Okay.
Yep, that's exactly what we'll do.
Very good.
The other thing, the next thing that looked at while we were downtown, I brought this up, and the downtown trees are scattered in, let's say, very puny. Looks like they need to be trimmed, they need to be taken care of and nurtured along. So I asked Suzanne if it was okay. I brought in the Culver Tree Commission. You guys know I have a connection down there, but Culver has their own tree commission. And they came up, walked the whole downtown, looking at the trees that are planted out there. First thing they said was, you got the wrong kind of trees, okay? Maple trees are gonna grow too big, they're gonna be, not be manageable. They need to be trimmed, the ones that are there, to give them as much life as possible. There are some of the trees at this point that are being choked out at the base. They suggested taking that iron ring that's on the bottom, taking that and cutting it out bigger so that that tree then is not being choked there at the bottom at the ground level. I'm thinking that we could have that done here in-house.
We've been doing that actually.
Okay.
Doug was just up there the other day and cut a couple out because they weren't growing in.
All right, so, you know what we
Yep.
need there.
Yep.
I think I probably said trim the existing trees. The other thing is, Culver Tree Commission buys 75 trees each year to plant in and around Culver. And they said that they would, if Argos wanted to put an order in with them, when they got the trees, there would be, you just pay for the cost of the trees. Because if they order 75, there's no shipping, it's delivered to them and whatever. So if you think about it and want to go ahead and do that, the order is going to go in fairly soon. They're delivered in the fall, and they should be planted in the fall. The trees need to be planted in the fall. So, but they're willing to, the tree commission's willing to do that, and they will give you, and I just checked my email, I don't have a list of what trees they recommend, but I'll get that, and you can make decisions on that, if that's, you're choosing what you wish to do. I would think that if you got a tree that could live in a smaller space, one that doesn't grow as big, I think having them downtown is a very good idea. And then as the maples start to die out or over time where they are not viable anymore, then replace them with something that's going to be more appropriate in a smaller space like that. So, you have any questions on that?
Did they think those grates were large enough to get enough water flow to the roots?
Okay. And I was hoping Jamie wasn't here, but, no, the reason that the trees are in the shape they're in, they're starved for water, okay? They said that you need to go to each tree at least once a week and give it somewhere between 10 to 15 gallons of water for it to be able to soak down into the roots and for that tree to be able to continue to grow. That's what's happened to some of those. I think probably on, I think he said the east side was where they don't get as much water, and that becomes a problem. So that's something, if you're gonna have trees down there, they need to be watered minimum every week. And I said, well, would it be better if we gave them, 3 to 5 gallons a couple times a week? They said, no, it would be better if it got the more, somewhere between 10 and 15 gallons at one time so that it can soak deeper and get to the roots where it can stabilize and grow better. Good question. Anything else on that? And 2 more things. Been working on the old Bethel Tabernacle Church there, 301 North Michigan, roof coming off, and I happened to track down who had a key to it. I got inside there 3 weeks ago, is about when it was. Mark and Suzanne were available. They came with me. We went inside, took a look at what was happening, documented what's going on outside. There are holes in the roof, you can see all the way through. Water's just coming down, rotting the whole structure. And it needs to be addressed, it needs to be taken care of. We had an unsafe board meeting on July 24th, where this was brought up and brought forward. The recommendation by the board was to, at your pleasure, have the town attorney send letters to the owners about getting that repaired and or fixed. Now, as I've tracked this down even further, there's a mother-daughter that own it, the Pippingers, and they've been very, very helpful. They were in the office yesterday. They've had some difficult times with Mrs. Pippinger's husband dying, who was the pastor going to run the church, and then the daughter getting cancer. She's had some surgery, so they're at the end of their rope, trying to be able to salvage things and keep things going. They had said that they haven't been making payments on the property. I called the company who holds the mortgage. They're actually the second or third company holding the mortgage, and they don't want the property back. I mean, they know the problems. They do want to be in the loop when it comes to what's happening with it, but there's no way they want the building back. You know, they probably have, the mortgage in the beginning was probably less than $50,000 on it. Pippingers bought the building and paid cash for it, then they took out a mortgage to fix it up. Before that happened, all of the other things happened. The company that owns it now, or has the mortgage, they probably paid, they could pay 30 cents, 10 cents a dollar, whatever it was. And so they don't have a large investment, and they don't want to put anything into it. So as I'm looking back at the tax roll, I've spoken with the assessor's office. The assessors haven't been assessing them any taxes because it is still listed as a church. Okay, so that's the good thing. The bad thing is, I think the town has been assessing them for mowing it for the last couple of years. So there is behind on that assessment. So that is owed as taxes. Pippingers have no money to pay it now. And this is where the attorney comes in. Choices are, we can foreclose on that since there's money owed, I believe.
You get a judgment for the amounts that have been paid for the mowing, which will amount to a lien against the property. It may not necessarily amount to the town end up owning the property, but it would be a judgment and a lien then against that property.
Mm-hmm. Well, and so that's one option. We can continue to push this forward as far as tearing it down. As I drive down Michigan and I look at that, I am not sure that it would be in the town's best interest to tear it down. Best interest would be to get somebody to fix it up and have a historical building there at that point. So that's something that the board's going to have to decide going forward. At this point, I would recommend that we contact the mortgage company, which is PSB Credit Services. They're in Wilmer, Minnesota. And I'll give you the particulars on that, Derek. Send that to you. And then Pippingers, and they live in Plymouth. So.
Is there,
No, go ahead.
did you discuss with them any interest in just listing it for sale?
Pippingers or the,
Pippingers.
They, I want to be sensitive in what I say. They are not educated in the ways of, they didn't think that they could do that or have access to it. Since they hadn't been making payments, they assumed for them that opportunity was gone.
It's not in foreclosure.
No, it's not foreclosure, and PSB will probably not foreclose on it because it's not in their best interest.
They need to list it.
So what?
To be honest, you know, the simplest solution here is for them to list it for sale for somebody that's gonna be interested in coming in, making some repairs, and then put that burden on them to deal with the mortgage company. And, you know, who knows what the sales price could be, if it would cover the balance of the mortgage. You would hope that it would. If not, that's something that maybe they can deal with this PSB Credit Services. If they do, great. If not, then our options are, we're chasing somebody that we're probably not gonna get any money out of. We may end up owning that property,
Right.
but it's still gonna have that mortgage on it. If PSB Credit Services is willing to release the mortgage, great. If not, it's just something that it's a security that's gonna stay with that property unless or until they get paid or decide to release it out of the goodness of their heart.
Well, Peppingers were going to be here tonight, but they had a last minute order. I don't know if you know what they do.
Yeah.
They sell cakes, cupcakes and whatever, and their order was moved up, so they had to stay and work tonight to get it ready for tomorrow, so.
Do you have any idea what the mortgage balance is?
When I spoke with was Kevin Mulder, he was not too direct.
And I would be surprised if they would give you that information, but did Pippinger say, give you a figure?
They didn't know,
Okay.
because
Yeah.
the husband took care of all of it, and nobody knew. And that's kind of how it's gotten to where it's at. If they had the option of listing it for sale and trying to get it sold, they would do it.
Right, short sale it and
You know,
get rid of it.
they're willing to do whatever, but they didn't think they had that option. And so this is the second call I've made talking to them, and they were more open this time than they were last time when I told them what we were going to, you know, what we had done and what we were going to
I
do.
think they have that option.
So it would be, you know, for me, it would be nice if somebody took it, fixed it up. But right now, as far as the town goes, it has birds in it. There are dead carcasses laying all over. We know that there's going to be vermin and there's going to be other rodents in there. Just, that's how it works. And so if we can get somebody in there, do you, I guess, how would you want to do this? Send both of them a letter? Do you want to speak with Pippingers? Do you want me to speak with them on what to do? You know, they have no money. They're going to end up filing bankruptcy at some point over the whole process. I mean, that's just
Strictly because of this? Or other issues too?
other issues. I mean, things were just dumped. And,
Well, and that's unfortunate for them, but I think that from the town's perspective, the best, simplest, most efficient way for this problem to get resolved would be for them to list it for sale and deal with PSB on a short sale if it comes to that, but who knows what the numbers are.
right.
But if they can sell it to somebody that's willing to take care of it, fix it up, do something with it, great. And that eliminates the problems that we have as the town in terms of an unsafe building. If we have to go that route, it's basically going to amount to a pretty lengthy process of issuing an order for them to comply with the order in terms of fixing it up or demolishing it. It sounds like that probably won't happen, which then amounts to we getting a judgment for the cost of the town to do that.
Right.
We
After
probably
after we've done it.
have to do it,
Right.
which probably most likely means a demolishing of the
Right.
structure if that's what you feel is necessary or appropriate. And then we own a vacant lot. And then we have to deal with it too.
Right.
I don't think the foundation's bad on that building, is it?
It does need some work. There were at least two places there where there were cracks in the wall, and there was some dirt coming in on it, down in the basement, but for overall, the foundation looked good. I mean, the basement's probably 6.5 feet tall. Is that about what you thought? But, you know, no, it could be fixed up, and to lose a historical building, you know, that would be in the town's best interest. So empty lots are hard to fill sometimes. So, okay, if that's pleasure, I will give you the information on who owns the, or the PSB, as well as pictures. I will meet with them, try to do that either tomorrow or Friday, and let them know that they can do that. And, you know, I think they want to do the best they can under the circumstances they got.
It's the summer. I mean,
Right.
if they can't deal with it, handle it, fix it, then yeah, try to unload it, try to deal with the mortgage holder to either a short sale, maybe they turn a little profit, or they just break even and get out of it, great.
Okay.
There's a very emotional roller coaster right there.
Yeah,
Yeah, I know.
it is. I mean, I can understand it. So, if that's your pleasure, I'll move forward with it that way.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Joe.
Okay, any other questions on that or anything else? The only other thing that I did want to bring up, and I don't know how to put this delicately, so I'm probably just going to say it. How many people went to the Fokker tour on Sunday? Okay. I think that if you didn't go, you missed out on something, something you should have seen, something you should have been there on. I think that it was probably the best $10 that I've spent personally in a long time. Just to be able to go listen to the history, not of only these homes. I mean, it was the history of the town. It gave me pride in the town, and I don't live here. It gave me a better sense of roots, a wider base of understanding. And I think that every town employee, any person that's on a town board, you should make that as part of their job description and have them go. Whether it's on during daytime hours and they go on the clock, or they go at their own pace. I talked with the museum. They would be willing, if it's the town leaders so directed, that they would give a modified tour for all of the people that work for the town of Argos. And I would say you need to do that. You don't know what you're missing. You have a lot of people that have been in town for a while, and they don't know what they don't know. You have people that work here that live out of town, and they've never had a chance to learn some of the history. So I would encourage you, and I would work with the museum if you wanted me to set that up, that they could come down either during the day, weekday hours. They could do it on weekends. They're all volunteers, but they would come back and do that tour. You would have to find some type of transportation. You know, we used the, what do we use?
The trams.
The trams, yeah, the trams from the Blueberry Festival. Those wouldn't be available, at least to get them back down here. They said there was somewhere between 175 and 200 people that took the tour. I mean, that's a huge deal. I mean, honestly, it impressed me. And if they would have had 50, they would have been happy and called it successful. So I would just like the town leaders to think about it and think about going forward with getting all of your employees and board members to make that tour. The only other thing that I have in wrapping up is If you went on the tour and you made it to the last stop, which was the Isaac Walton League, you could sign up for prizes. You put your ticket in and they drew out for prizes. Well, I won one of the prizes. This is a historical picture of the town of Argos. It shows when it was, how it was platted. It shows the town of Sydney. Also shows the town of Fremont, how this was platted out and where the towns were before it became Argos. And very, very interesting. It's period made. I don't know how old this frame is, but it looks like it's weathered pretty well. But I would like to present this to the town of Argos and to be on display
Thank you.
here if you so choose.
Thank you very much.
Thanks so much.
That's all I've got right now.
The Historical Society did a terrific job of research.
Oh,
It was
and that's
really
what
an
made
interesting
it.
tour.
That's what made the tour, and
Yeah.
I think people should see that.
It gave the homeowners pride.
Oh, it sure
They-
did.
They made the comment one time, you don't know what you've got here, when they were talking about their homes.
Right.
So it gave them pride in their homes.
Did you think that maybe another whole setup like that would be good?
Yes?
I mean, just do the whole thing again?
Well, I don't know that, a lot of people that was on the tour probably wouldn't come back a second time. So for them to do the whole process this soon after doing it once, I don't know that that would be in the museum's best interest. But they would do it for the town and the town employees if you so asked. You know, and they would volunteer to do it, but if you had them do it, I would hope there's somewhere, some way you could find a donation to help offset their effort to do that.
I think it'd be a good idea.
Yeah.
I was two family functions that day.
I asked them after the tour, I said, you guys ought to do this every year. They said, no, we're not gonna do that. We don't do it year after year. So
Right.
they're not gonna do it next year.
But someone asked me, are you gonna have a Folker Festival every summer? That
There you
was-
go.
Yeah,
That is a unique feature for our community.
Mhm.
Yeah, you have a date on that?
I don't know if it has a date
I
on it
don't
or
see
not.
any dates.
I kind of looked at it, I didn't see it, but, not for sure.
that would be before Argus, so Argus was 18, what, 59?
52, 54?
52, 54, so that'd be before that.
So, you know, this is gonna date back to the either late 1700s or early 1800s. It's got the cemetery on there, you know, downtown. It's very, very interesting.
The Historical Society gave me a map that looks a lot like this.
Right.
And mine says 1950 something on it.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I don't know.
Well,
I mean,
this is something they took out of
this
their
is
archives,
their-
they probably have
yeah.
duplicates of it. And, but I asked them, I went down and picked my prize up, and I asked them if it was okay if I give to that, and they said, yes, that would be perfect.
You want to see if they can set it up on some afternoon? I mean, if you think you could get away for an afternoon, or what did it take? 2 hours?
Probably closer to 3.5, when everything was
It
done.
was fast.
What's that?
So it seemed like it went fast.
It did. I mean, you weren't on, you were in, you had about 7-minute 5.5 to 7 minute stop at each location. I don't know, they would have to come back and get permission again, but they had permission, and we could walk onto the properties, look at all the buildings and the houses, but, and that was really good. You see more up close than you do just driving down by the roads, driving the streets. But what was even more enriching was the backstory that they had and where they were able to fill in the history. I mean, you guys probably already know since you live in Argos, but did you know that the National Hardware Association headquarters was in Argos? Okay, I mean, that, you know, there was a housing boom during the 1800s. If you look at these houses, that's where they're coming from. You know, I just think there's some stuff there that really let people have more pride in what they've got.
I'd say move on, let's see if they could set up
Okay,
a afternoon.
okay. If that's your wish, I will talk with them and see when they think they can put it together.
Here, see if they can have a window in.
Probably the one thing that we need to do is have transportation. You know, because them getting the transportation would be difficult, so maybe,
Talk with the school,
I hadn't thought about
get a bus.
the bus, but that would be perfect.
Take 2 or 3 or 4 pickup trucks to do it too.
Right. Well,
Get
but
right in the back.
if you get every town employee plus every board member, you might have,
Well, the parade.
what's that?
Well, parade.
Yeah, exactly, but they could do it with less people because, you know, they had a tour director for each group that went through, or each 20 or 25 that went through, but they could do 50 or 75 all at once with one person doing the directives. It's your choice, I'll go ahead and go forward with that.
Good.
Need a hay wagon.
I was gonna say, it's anyway, I was just gonna say that.
All right, Chuck, thank you. Anybody else got any questions for Chuck?
No, thanks a lot, Chuck.
Attorney report.
All right, guys, I got a couple things just to tell you, but, and also Jamie, but Colonial Estates deed did get recorded, so that's done, taken care of. There are some easements out there that I still need to get taken care of and working on. The other easements did get recorded, they were fine, acceptable, haven't heard any pushback anyway. So we should be good with all the other ones except for Colonial Estates, and that's next on the agenda here. The other thing I wanted to tell you about or talk to you folks about was these two things go kind of hand in hand, but I know that we're looking at revising or implementing some charges for the volunteer fire department, and that's kind of dictated by statute, and then the statutes also then refer you to the state fire marshal in terms of maximum amount of charges that can be levied, which when you really look at that, it's kind of disappointing. It also does not address things like false alarms, and also basically I know that we're, at least the statutes I've found so far, and I believe that it's out there that we can charge for those things, but I wanted to try to consolidate that into one ordinance so that we've got one ordinance that addresses and deals with all the things that the fire department can charge for. Then that leads you into this billing services agreement from Acumed. And I also then recall that we had an Acumed contract for the EMS. I kind of compared the two, and I didn't see any issues or problems with what they had sent, other than the statutes that deal with the charges that fire departments can levy also have some specific, I guess I'll say, instructions to the agents, the billing agents, which is what Acumed will be in our case, as to what they have to do and kind of how they have to do it. So our contract, I think, is going to have to be tweaked a little bit. I've not talked with Acumed yet, and I know that you folks had seen that Accumed contract, and I don't know if anybody has any other comments or issues or problems, but just to point that out, it's a one-year agreement, and I'm assuming that the town's gotten along pretty well with Accumed for EMS. No issues, problems with them and their services there? Okay, and that's good to know, but it's basically, I'll call it a contingent amount. Basically, they're gonna get 10% of whatever is billed from fire. Again, I don't see whatever they collect that
Yeah.
is billed through and from fire. Again, I don't see any issues or problems with the contract itself, other than I think we're gonna probably have to kind of tweak it to make sure that they're complying with state statutes about, for example, one of the requirements is that the fire chief has to basically authorize the billing, and to provide that authorization, I think we can set up a form so that that's provided anytime a bill gets submitted to Accumed. Another thing is that anytime they send a bill out, a copy has to go to the property owner or responsible party. Another copy has to go to the town. None of those things are in the contract, and I think it's pretty simple fixes, but it's not there yet. And I want to complete what we want to do with our ordinance in terms of the charges, but then talk to Accumed after that so that we can tell them, hey, Indiana code says this is what we have to do. Accumed is a Michigan company, so I don't know if they're overly familiar with Indiana law or exactly what we need to have in that contract. I think some of the information you got was out of the state of Michigan, so it's not entirely helpful. Appreciate having it, but it's not on point with what we have to worry about, concern ourselves with.
Isn't that levy just on the tax base, maximum levy? Or is that the period for that levy you're talking about for the fire department billing?
Well, it's basically a per
Maximum
incident,
levy on
it's a
taxes.
per incident charge, it's not a
Okay.
tax increase, it's basically if you make a run and there's a car accident, if you make a run and there's a structure fire, or hazardous material spill, you can bill different levels for responding to those calls, and that's what this is going to address. So I want to let you know that's kind of where this is at. It's not at all a final project, but it is a work in progress.
Okay. Any other questions for Derek on that? Is that it?
That's all I have.
I move to accept the attorney report.
Second.
Motion is second to accept the attorney's report. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carried. Still have board openings for planning commission. Does anyone else have any other old business right now? New business. Anyone have any new business? Are you Mark, are you MCDC?
Let Chuck go first.
Just so that, Mr. President, just so everyone knows, I have the Planning Commission and the BZA are beginning to work this month, August, on our new zoning ordinance. So that's probably going to take anywhere from 12 to 14 months to get that completed and in a new form. So what we're trying to do is look at places where we may have granted exceptions or exemptions through the BZA, or what we need to do. So if there's any input that you have, anything you need to see cleaned up, enhanced, or whatever, we'll have meetings as we go forward to allow for public input. So that's what we're working on. If we have a BZA case or things for the Planning Commission to do, then we will probably skip that month or have a second meeting that month.
Okay. Mark?
Here. Police Commission. This was unanimous recommendations from the Police Commission. first of all, and then help me on this if I start stumbling, this is the pension, all right? The problem with the pension is it's based upon a patrolman's salary. We're merit-based. So what that means is we've got patrolmen making different salaries. So what they're gonna do right now is they take the lowest salary. So what we wanna do is we wanna pay the patrolman's salary at Dave Carroll's level, which is the highest paid patrolman. That does not mean other patrolmen are gonna make that same amount. But then, that's what the pension would ultimately be at for all of the police officers when they retire. Did I explain that okay?
But it would go up if there's a raise, that.
Yeah, if there's a raise and that patrolman's salary, we had a raise from it's 2201 right now. So if that raised to 2250, then that's the new level ultimately for that pension when the officers retire.
Define it as a first-class patrolman, so.
Yeah.
There's no cap on it or anything? It just raises with each raise every year?
Right, yeah, exactly, yeah. If we get a raise, then that would raise, because like I said, that's what our retirement would be based off of, for retirement purposes. Right.
Just makes it a lot
Absolutely.
cleaner. Second thing, on ordinances. Right now, we're paying, we have $5,000, we have $8,000, but $5,000 of that is going to each officer, even though they're not,
1,000.
I'm sorry, 1,000.
There's 5,000 budgeted for code.
For
that's
code.
Divided by 5.
Divided by each, so each officer gets 1,000. What the commission wants to do is just stick that, not call that code enforcement because they're really not doing code, just toss that in as part of salary. And then give Corey an additional, so he gets $1,000, give him an additional $3,000 for code enforcement. We feel that he's doing a pretty good job at code enforcement, even though he hates it.
I do hate it.
So we recommend a $3,000 addition to Corey for the code enforcement. And then we also recommend a 3% raise across the board for all officers.
That's a discussion for your salary ordinance. You getting that fly yet?
No,
None of us, go down there to Dillon, maybe we can get it.
happens every year after it's there.
It's not too bad this year, actually.
Yeah, it's less this year than it has been, but that's because it rains so hard right now.
So obviously, those things would be on the salary ordinance, which isn't voted on yet, but
Do you
will be
want
discussed.
to do that right around the budget time, or do you want to wait till December like we always do and hope that we have a forum?
Probably do it sooner the better.
So maybe include that, maybe have a workshop or something and we'll do that right before the, like the budget gets passed and that for the next year.
What were those dates, Steve?
I think it's like September's the first meeting, and first of October is the second. Of the budget, so. We will.
Do you want to do the workshop before the meeting? That's, can you, probably says it to me, yeah. I think last time.
Well, I just don't want to wait till December and then we're at the end of December. If it has to be voted on before December 31st.
Right.
I don't want to have to throw together quickly. We would need to call a workshop or something.
when everybody can be available, and we'll set a date.
There you go.
Let them go home and look at your calendar.
There you go.
We also need a workshop for this ordinance thing. We were talking about earlier. Remember you sent out you just sent out a memo on it about getting together. You just texted us this week. You don't remember that? It was an email.
Apparently not.
It was an email, I did believe.
That was for the zoning book, right?
Yeah. So
Okay.
sorry.
Well, that's during the 6 o'clock, first Tuesday of every month. Every month, George, so you can't get out of it every month. It'd just be nice to have the council kind of come in and know what's going on too.
Be different.
Okay, anybody else got any other, there it is, you missed it, new business?
George, I just got a couple things.
Yep, Jamie.
The main lift station got delayed, we're missing a part for that, so, looks like August 9th, we should have all the parts, we'll get that done, put the VFDs in. The other thing is Maple Street, from about North Street to, State Road 10, we're gonna be crack sealing that and sealing that road this year. That should be in the next couple weeks, so.
From where to where?
About North Street, somewhere in that area, all the way back to 10.
That's not that far.
No, but that's about all we're gonna do yet this year. We'll see, it's kind of a test, and they've been doing it for a while, and it sounds like it can extend the life of the road for 7 to 10 years by doing this, so they've had some pretty good success with it.
How
So
many
we're
years
gonna
ago
try it.
did we do Grove and Marshall?
Grove and Marshall,
Yeah, we did that, and
I don't
it's been a
know,
while.
that's when we chip seal it.
That chip and seal made a big difference down there at the end of where I'm at, on
Yeah.
that gravel. That's stiffened that right up.
Mhm.
It worked great there. I don't know how good it's doing on the regular asphalt, but it sure made that.
Seems like it's holding up good, I mean,
I don't know what they do in the alleys.
Yeah, I don't know, we did our sewer plant road with that, and it's holding up pretty good, but it's starting to get some potholes and stuff in it. And it's hard to patch it, because we don't have that material to do it, so.
Is there any sidewalks planned for this fall at all?
I don't have anything on there. I did get a memo from the state though, looks like this will be done in 19, along 10, where they're gonna do all their crosswalks and ADA compliant stuff, so looks like they're taking bids maybe in February. So we'll see that coming.
Anybody else got anything? Anybody got any reports?
I was gonna talk about those. Chuck did a great job of that. It did go very well. It was well worth it. And the museum, they did a terrific job. They had put hours and hours of research in. I sat through several of their meetings, and they put a great deal of time in. And it was a hard decision to choose the homes. They had to pick and choose which ones, and part of that was who responded to their letters. But there are other homes out there. Those aren't the only ones that are Fokker. So there are many other homes out there. So I encourage everybody to do that. Also, a week or two ago, I was asked to sit in on a meeting. This is the IHCDA, Indiana Housing and Community Development Authority. Dean Byers had several of us, Argos, Bourbon, and they're considering Culver. This is a program that, because we have 2 properties here that are open for habitat, 2 habitat properties, and they can only do so many a year. Bourbon has some that are needed. This is a program through the state which subsidizes low-income housing with via grants or loans, and it's directed towards the acquisition, rehabilitation, or construction of single-family housing. So far, we're just in the talking stage, but in about another month, we'll probably be getting together again, and this may become a reality. I don't know if this will be eligible for part of the Stellar program, because it fits right in with that, since we're working together. Because housing is one of the big thrusts for Stellar. And I don't know how many of you are aware of what Argos is working on for Stellar.
Kept us in a loop, that's the only way I know it.
Well, sidewalks is one,
Mhm.
our trails connecting the town, and then housing, and new housing. And we do have these little cards, it just gives a brief summary. I was using for swapping. It's just an overview, very brief. But if we get that, it is huge. And there's no guarantee we will get the designation, but through the working toward the designation, we're learning what's out there, and we're learning to work together. So it's a positive, no matter what happens, because we're learning a lot of the programs that are out there and available. And we can try it for another year. And I think that's all I have.
Dylan, you got anything special, other than thanks for your websites you're doing? I think they're great. Little Facebook things and all that. I've had 3 phone conversations with Jerry on the building out here, the manufacturing center. And he's eager to get some answers from the council so that he has a little bit more selling power on the building. It looks favorable, people, I'm glad it's there. It's about as far in depth as a person's allowed to go right now, so. Other than that, I really don't have anything. Claims.
The total docket for August 1st is $131,582.20. The top 5 claims are as follows. Number 1 is payroll number 15 at $37,141.15. Number 2 is Anthem at $19,529.75. Number 3 is Republic Services at $12,296.52. Number 4 is Town of Argos utility bills at $7,189.81. And number 5 is the Federal Reserve withholding tax at $7,433.09. The total of the top 5 claims is $84,190.32, and they represent 64% of the total docket. Because this was a short week, this docket is not as high as it normally is on the first of the month, but wait till next month.
Take up one.
Also, I wanted to kind of point out, I've had 3 employees come up to me this week and just tell me how great they think our insurance is and how grateful they are that we have it. And I just wanted to kind of throw that out there, that I don't think you guys might hear it as much as you should, but they really do appreciate it, and they're very grateful that it takes care of their families as well as it does. So I thought I would pass that along.
It is good to hear.
So it is a good thing. We're striking out on the close. Any questions for Lisa on the bud, or claims? Budget, shoot. Motion to accept.
I'll make a motion to accept claims 910 through 977.
There's a second.
Second?
Motion and second to accept the claims. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carried. Nothing else, motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
And a second, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carried.